All right, what is up, Utes fans? The Utes come away with the huge win. Huge win. Utah floods the dam on the Beavers, 42-16. Huge win, and a win that I feel like by the end of that game, we had our issues early on, but by the end of that game, I felt like we had really cemented ourselves as the number one team in the Pac-12. Not that I didn't believe it before. I still felt like we were the best team in the Pac-12, but I felt like that game really showed who the best team in the Pac-12 is. And I thought that was pretty awesome for us to have such a dominant win. And don't forget, this is a team that went toe-to-toe with USC last week. Toe-to-toe, down to the final buzzer to get the win. Zenith says, holy crap, Clark Phillips with a dub. Omar also mentioned it. Clark freaking Phillips. Yeah, damn. I remember end of the first quarter, I was like, damn, he's one of the best corners in the Pac-12, if not the best in the Pac-12. End of the game, it's like, damn, he might really be one of the best corners in the entire country. He's just a beast. Big time playmaker, Clark Phillips. There's other guys that had really good games today too, but it's hard to, really top what he did with his performance. Big time playmaker, Clark Phillips, and a guy that I hope we continue to see him grow and see him excel at the position. And if you guys are happy about the Utes win, please do make sure you guys like the video. Also, comment below anyone else that you guys think did a really good job today. I'd love to touch on it a little bit. Or if you think there's someone that didn't do a very good job today. Either way, go ahead and comment that in the chat. These are a lot more fun when we make it a nice, fun discussion. And also, if you are a Utes fan, subscribe to the channel. This is what we talk about 24/7 is Utah Utes football. So for me, I thought the other guy that had a really good game was Cam Rising. So Cam was 19 for 25, 199 yards on 3 touchdowns. And then he also had 7 carries for 73 yards. Huge game for Cam Rising. Omar, I see your comment. I'll touch on Cole Bishop here in a second. But yeah, Cam Rising looked fantastic today. In a game where we really could not run the ball, Cam Rising just kind of stepped up and said, if we can't move the ball with the running backs on the ground, I'm going to go ahead and tuck it, run it, and I'm going to move the ball with my legs. And he looked amazing with his feet. His arm looked great. There's maybe 1 or 2 throws that I thought weren't the right call. That even that last one to Keithy was a little risky. And there was another one where he tried, to Kincaid in the back of the end zone. Both of those that were to Kincaid that were like triple coverage. I didn't love those. But either way, outside of that, really good day by Rising, almost an 80% completion percentage, which is nuts. So definitely he came out there. He impressed me a lot. And I really think Cam Rising is a quarterback that every team in the conference should be scared of. I'm sure they were already. I mean, who doesn't know who he is? But he kind of carried that offense for a lot of this game. And I feel like he's just as much to credit as anybody. Obviously, Clark Phillips as well with the huge game, with the 3 interceptions, 1 for a pick 6. He deserves just as much credit. We had a few people really step up. Omar mentions Cole Bishop. Yep, I saw Cole Bishop make some plays. I don't think Cole Bishop for me was one of like the impact players of this game, but he was a very good player. I saw him around the field a lot. I actually, funny enough, I think the big one for me is this guy, RJ Hubert. I have not been a huge fan. I've been pretty critical, but he slowly started to become, a really good coverage guy, like elite coverage. And it's really been impressive to me. But I think today we saw a whole different side of him. I can't wait till these numbers come out on like the PFF grades and the defensive statistics, because this guy killed it, dude. He came out there and just looked fantastic. I was really impressed. Lots of good open field tackles, getting physical. I mean, this game's a lot different if RJ Hubert doesn't make the plays he makes. And that pick he got was kind of the nail in the coffin for Oregon State when he got that pick and almost ran it back. I mean, he ran it back like 60, 70 yards. But RJ Hubert had a huge day. I was really impressed. Tom says hello. Hello, Tom. Good to have you here. I'm also going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat if anyone wants to hop on the video stream and talk a little Utah Utes football. You're more than welcome to call in. If you don't, feel free to just comment in the chat. I'm more than happy to do it that way as well. With that though, let's go ahead and pull up these stats here. So this is game stats. Okay, so total yards for Utah was 361. Total yards for Oregon State was 417. It's a little surprising they had that many more yards than we did, but I kind of talked about it before the game that I wouldn't be surprised if they moved the ball well. I actually thought they were a really good rushing team. They did a really good job. They had me scared at times where I was a little concerned about how well they were running the ball. Tom says USC struggled against Oregon State and we made it look easy. Yeah, I think we definitely did a lot better than USC did, but I would say, Tom, that might be a little unfair. That game was really close until about the mid to late third quarter, and then I felt like we pulled away. But before that, I think we'd all agree this team looked really good. And I think I touched on it before the game, but, getting up ahead of them because they're a running team was a big key to winning this game. A team that wants to run the ball, they're going to struggle if you can get them uncomfortable, make them throw every other play because they're down by, 20 points or whatever. I mean, that was a big factor, and I think we did a great job of that. Zenith says, I think Devon Vele did pretty good today. Pretty good. I'd say as a guy myself, I've been very, very critical of Devon Vele. I think he really stepped up today, dude. You pull these numbers up for Utah. All right, so Devon Bailey, 7 receptions, 94 yards, and a touchdown. And the touchdown was like a hard-fought touchdown. Like he kind of made a play at the end of that to make that a touchdown and reached out and, solidified it. I was really impressed with Bailey today. I really wish he would have broken 100 yards just to, cement that. But, I mean, he basically he had 2/3 as many yards in this game as he has had all season. So I thought that was an awesome game for Vele. I think he did a great job. And, I'm excited to see what happens here. Tom says, sad to hear about Keithy. Yeah, let's not stress too much about Keithy. I mean, it's very sad for sure, but I don't want to dwell on that. We got a lot of football left to be played this year, and let's not look at any negatives. Another guy I'd like to bring up is Jalen Dixon. So you guys can check the numbers on the screen here. 1 reception for 19 yards and 1 touchdown, and then 1 rush for 22 yards and 1 touchdown. So pretty awesome game by Dixon. So total 1 catch, 1 run, both 19 plus yards and a touchdown on both plays. I think this offense looked so much different and so much more explosive and fast with Solomon Enos being out. I think that was a big factor. Not that it's a positive that he's out, and maybe that hurt us when we were trying to run the ball, but I'm just saying, really, that the Money Parks and Jalen Dixon looked really good. Jalen Dixon looked great today, though. I was really impressed. Omar says Dixon has been a weapon with the end around the last 2 weeks. I agree 100%. Dixon has been lighting it up lately, but looked like a monster. If you guys are excited about Jalen Dixon and what he's bringing to the team, please do make sure you guys like the video. It'll help get it out to more Utes fans. Also, comment in the chat, guys. Join the discussion. It makes it a lot more fun. Is there anyone that you guys think had a really bad game that wasn't talked about? Or anyone else that you guys think had a really good game that wasn't talked about? And obviously, I'm not going to try to dwell too much on the bad performances, but I think it is worth talking about it. So one guy I think did not have a very good game, in my opinion. Let me see if I got him queued up here. I don't think I have him queued up here. I'll go ahead and put him in manually. Give me 1 second. I think that's how you spell it. So, Travis Broughton. Now, this guy had a bit of hype coming into the season. He's done well in the past, but I mean, there was a time in the first quarter that almost all of their yards were when they threw to the guy he was covering. and it felt like he was leaving people wide open. I was a little concerned, honestly. It was, and then there was that 1 4th down play where they didn't make the connection. It was an overthrow, but his receiver burned him for like 10 yards. And, I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's a coaching thing and they just need to sit down with him and talk to him. But he has got to, and I know he's pretty decent at run defense, but honestly, in coverage, he was like a liability at times today. And I think when you look at how well Zamiah Vaughn has been doing, Zamiah Vaughn's number 16, Travis Broughton's number 4, it really kind of makes you start to think like, why is that guy not in instead of Travis Broughton? He's long, lanky, tough, physical, pass breakups, does a good job there. So to me, it's Travis Broughton is becoming a concern for me. All right, Zenith says they had a rushing team that Utah wasn't prepared for at all, in my opinion. I felt that way as well. I felt like they were a better rushing team than we were, or at least they were more prepared to run the ball against the defense. They did a really good job running the ball. Let's pull those stats back up. What did they finish with? Oh, not trending. All right, so rushing yards, they had 246 rushing yards. Damn. Or no, that's passing yards. 246 passing yards. We had 162. They had 171 rushing yards. But don't forget, a good chunk of our rushing yards came at the end of that game when we were running that clock out. They were never in a position where they were running the clock out. Like if they would have if the game would have been closer and they could run more of a neutral game script, or they were up a little bit, their running game would have probably gotten a lot more yards. So I think that's a little concerning how well they ran against us. Omar says, if I'm being honest, I'm a little worried about our run defense going into next week. Yeah, I think a lot of us probably feel that way. This was an awesome win, right? And I think we gotta, as much as the expectations for this team are very high, we gotta celebrate the wins as they come, right? We're in a weird spot for Utah fans. It's like we've experienced high levels of success, but it's hard to, take in the moment and appreciate what's going on while also being concerned about some of the stuff we saw. Yeah, I agree. I think our defensive linemen definitely need to step up. And I think D-line looked kind of rough at times in pass rush and in the run defense. And it's not that all of them were doing a poor job, but I do think there were a lot of times, like the pass rush to me on D-line was rough. A lot of the time it felt like we were sending, we had 4 down linemen and none of them were ever getting pressure. But it's just what I saw. I do think we did a decent job containing the outside runs, but I felt like they ran up the middle and on like zone reads pretty damn well. Zenith says, I agree, Omar, the rush defense should be what Utah aims for in practice this week. So, I was just talking about Travis Broughton, Zenith, and I think for me, he concerns me in that UCLA game, right? If you guys watched the UCLA Washington game last night like I did, you noticed they have a lot of depth at receiver, a bunch of really good receivers spreading that field around, and it kind of got me a little worried. I was like, when I was watching today, like, damn, how many yards is the Travis Broughton going to let up? Like, they're going to run 4 deep sometimes, and we're going to have all of our guys get it done. Also, we're going to have to contain DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He looks good. He looks very fast. He looks good. He looks way more poised than he did last year. So next week's another real test, dude. I said it on Twitter either this morning or yesterday. But, this next 4 weeks is what's going to define our season. So we checked off the first box this week. We did a great job. Some concerns early on, but overall a great job. Utah looked really good. But then we're gonna go back to back UCLA, USC, Washington State. Especially these next 2 weeks, just feel the pressure's on for sure. So definitely a couple tough tests coming out here. Zenith says, I also think Mohamed Diabate did decent today, getting some tackles today. I also would agree with that. RJ Rupert says Mo Diabate had 6 tackles, including 4 tackles for losses. I don't know if I saw him get 4 tackles for losses, but I wasn't keeping track of it. But I did see Diabate on quite a few plays there, and I was impressed with him as well. I don't think he's one of the players I plan on shouting out, but I did notice him, and he was definitely a player I made note of. Like, hey, he's having a good game. Like, it wasn't. I just felt like for me, RJ Huber on defense was the story of the game. Diabate was kind of like Cole Bishop. They both had solid games, but it wasn't anything to write home about. Hubert to me was like great in coverage. Lots of they both get registered as a tackle, right? When you make a tackle, but sometimes you're making a tackle with 3 other guys that are near you, even if it's a solo tackle, right? It's like there's other guys near you, and if you did miss, they could make the play, so it's a little easier. And then there's open field tackles, which open field tackles where it's just you. If you don't make that tackle, they're probably getting another 20 yards or a touchdown if you don't make the tackle. And for me, Hubert made a bunch of those today, open field tackles, and I was really impressed. I really liked what we saw from him. So definitely a guy that stood out to me. I think another group that needs to be talked about, let's put them up here. Okay. And, this is what it is. The O-line for Utah today, they looked good at pass blocking. They really did. I thought they impressed me there. But the run blocking was rough at times. I mean, a lot of that didn't feel like it was the running backs. I felt like Tavion could have ran a little harder and, done a little more with some of the holes he was given. But it did feel like a lot of the time that defensive front, which we looked at the PFF grades earlier this morning, that was a good defensive front. But they were just kind of dominating us at the front 7 and when we tried to run the ball. Like, I'm surprised we had that many rushing yards, to be honest. And don't forget, 73 of the 160 or whatever was from Cam Rising. So really from running backs is less than 100 yards. So definitely a bit of a concern, right? I don't think UCLA, I think we're going to match up really well against teams like UCLA. These teams that are a little flashier and a little more about making plays rather than they are about being physical. I think I said it this morning, but I feel like the physicality game plan is the same for us as it is for Oregon State. And I think it's, as much as there were concerns today, I think Oregon State is actually the best in the conference at certain aspects, like, run defense on the D line. They might be even better than we are, right? I'd say it seemed that way. And so the fact that we were able to get through this and get out of this on the other side looking good and, a big win should be very promising as we move forward. So really excited there. Lots of good today. Lots of good. We did a great job out there, and I felt like our team really stepped up, made plays, and honestly, dude, I'm going to put his name back up here. Hopefully I didn't erase it, but Cam Rising, just going back to him. I mean, damn, dude. I really think we could have a great game plan running RPOs with Cam Rising all damn day. Straight up. Like there's times where I'm just like, yo, stop running it. Like, it's not like today I was watching us run and it was not working. And I was sitting there like, you know what? Let Cam drop back and make something happen, dude. He is a special quarterback. Let him be special. Like, you don't want to rely on it all the time. Like, you don't want to have to scramble and improv on every damn play. But there are times where you need to improv when what you're doing is not working. You got to give it a shot. And I thought Cam just looked fantastic today. So I'm excited to see where he goes in these next couple of weeks. I do think this win is going to crack us into the top 10. Considering how Oregon State played against USC, I really feel good that this is going to crack us into the top 10. So I think that'll be awesome, or at least we'll be at number 10. I think that'll be really cool. And just a heads up to you guys, I mentioned it this morning, but if you weren't here, I'm going to be doing a little giveaway probably next week. So I just got to wait for the item to arrive. But I did order it. I think it'll be a pretty cool item, and I think you guys will be excited. So if you are interested in something like that, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel now so you don't miss out on that. And if you haven't already, please do like the video. Helps get it out to more Utes fans. And if you haven't already, jump into the comments, guys. I'd love to hear any questions you guys have, any concerns you guys have, anybody that I might be missing that had a good game or, struggled a little bit. Let's go ahead and pull back up the numbers. I want to look at how the running backs did. All right, so running backs. Jalen Glover's been struggling a little when he gets the ball, huh? 6 carries for 19 yards. But it felt like every running back struggled in this game. I mean, yeah, like Tavion averaged 2.2 yards a carry. Mekhi Bernard averaged 3 yards a carry. And Jalen Glover averaged 3.2 yards a carry. So everyone kind of struggled with yards per carry except Cam Rising and Bryson Barnes. Jaquindon Jackson, 4 carries for 5 yards. I mean, he did have that one for -9 yards when he fumbled that. I thought that was annoying. Like, I don't know. I mean, I get what they're trying to do. I didn't think it was a terrible play call, but it was like, damn, Jaquindon, are you kidding me, dude? Like, don't be fumbling the ball in their red zone. Like, it took us out of field goal range. Like, it was a big play when he fumbled that ball. It could have been one we were looking back on and thinking, damn it, I can't believe that happened. So Van Fillinger. I don't know if anyone else was watching Van Fillinger today, but I was a little disappointed. I had big hopes for this guy coming into this year, and I feel like outside of, I think he had a good game last week, but outside of that, it's really been not much, right? It's just kind of, where's the pass rush? Where's the big tackles for the loss? I mean, let's make some plays, dog. Like, you were one of my favorite players on the team last year, and I'm, expecting a second-year leap. Let's see it. So hopefully he starts stepping up. I wonder when that's going to happen or if that's going to happen. But we, don't forget, a lot of the guys on our defense are still really young. They're still trying to, find their place in this defense. So hopefully he figures that out. Money Parks. How did Money Parks do? So Money Parks had 2 receptions for 7 yards. Hey, at least we're getting him involved, right? Get the ball in his hands. Let him try to go make plays. That's how I felt about Jalen Dixon too, and that really worked out, right? I feel like they're really similar guys, and one of them is going to earn this little slot gadget player kind of role. And I feel like today it feels like Dixon's going to be the guy. I mean, who knows how that develops over time, but Dixon looks really damn good. I'm really excited to see where he goes. Let's see. Who else can we talk about? I mean, might as well talk about Tavion Thomas. Not that we haven't already touched on it a little bit, but you got to kind of wonder what's going on there, So he had the lowest yards per carry. Him, Jalen, and Mekhi Bernard all got 6 carries this week, and he was significantly lower in yards per carry than both of them. And, you definitely don't like to see that. You'd want him to be significantly higher than them. Like, he's supposed to be the guy. And then last week, he had the attitude problems or whatever it was that kept him off the field for the first half of the game. I mean, what's going on with this guy, dude? Hopefully Tavion figures it out. I know he had his aunt passed away, so maybe that's got him riled up. I hope he, figures out what's going on there and kind of settles into his position again. Because him being a beast, and I noticed it today, like he's like trying to avoid people rather than run downhill and lower his shoulder. I don't know if I'm the only one to notice that, but it feels like he's not running with the physicality that he's capable of. And it was pretty clear to me. So Mekhi Bernard, not a crazy yards per carry today. He had 6 for 18, so 3.3 yards per carry. But he also had 3 receptions for 37 yards, 12.3 yards a catch. So definitely a guy that, is still getting involved. Mekhi Bernard looks good. One of my favorite players. I'd like to see him get a better yards per carry, but I did feel like towards the end of the game when it really mattered and he needed to get yards, like as we started to pull ahead and we needed a reliable running back, I feel like that's when he got a couple nice carries and did something with it. So that was really cool. Who else? Anyone else you guys want to talk about? Anyone have any other thoughts? Karine Reed. I didn't really see too much of Karine Reed today. I know I was really hyped on him going into this game, and not that he did a bad job. I just don't remember ever seeing Karine Reed or how he did or anything like that. Okay. Well, All right, guys. Well, that was the game. I mean, we got a lot to look forward to. Let's see here. Oh, Dr. Rock Michelle says Peppa's. I did see Peppa. He looked really good, dude. He for such a huge guy, he flies around the field. He has a good motor. He makes plays. Rob says Entafuna. Well, I felt like with Tafuna, I don't think he had a bad game, but I did feel like there were times, especially in the pass rush, where he just wasn't getting off his blocks. But I did see a couple run defense plays where he made a nice reaching tackle, or like that one where he hit the guy low to stop him from getting a few extra yards. But I really the expectation for Tafuna for me is really high, and I don't like when we don't see him have a well-rounded game. You know what I mean? I want to see him rush the passer too. Like when we have Fillinger and Tafuna in on a 4-man rush with Ellis on the other side, I want to see somebody break free and get back there. I hate when I see a quarterback have all day when we got 4 people going in. And this 4, in my opinion, really good D linemen. So I'd really like to see us step that up. And I'm not trying to seem negative, because I really do feel like we have a great team right now. But don't forget what the goal is, guys. Don't forget what we're hoping to do, right? We got a really tough stretch ahead of us. For those that don't know, let's go ahead and pull it up. I mean, the Pac-12 in general looks really good from here after this past week or so. You're starting to just feel like, damn, it's all good teams. So take a look here. Boom. So we're going to play UCLA, USC, Washington State, Arizona, Stanford, Oregon. So I'd say the only 2 teams I feel like just absolutely confident that we can make a decent amount of mistakes and still get away with it is Arizona and Stanford. And obviously Colorado to end the season, which we should beat them pretty soundly. But either way, I think it's going to be a tough stretch here. And I'm sure Whittingham knows this. I'm sure Scally knows this. I'm sure Ludwig knows this and knows that there were times that what we saw today wasn't up to par with what we expect this team to the level we expect this team to perform at. TJ says the run defense really concerned me today. Was hoping for more from them, except in the red zone. They stopped Oregon State 5 of 5 times. Yeah, that's how I felt too, man. I actually kind of called it a little bit where I said they're going to get yards on us, but I don't think they're going to score on us too much, which is not something you want to roll the dice on, right? You don't want to be like every drive they're getting you to the red zone and then you got to make a stop. I mean, that's not a good way to play football, but the truth is we just kind of stepped up at times and we got a little lucky at times as well. I really hope that so let me say this, the run game the run defense that we saw today is not going to cut it against some of the teams that we hope to beat as we keep moving forward. And you don't want to rely on one thing being super good. Like if Cam Rising's not stepping up today, this game looks a lot different, right? And you don't want to have to put the game on Cam Rising's back every week. Like, yeah, when we have to, but it's like, hey, we can't just let them grind us into the ground with the run game. We need to keep going, and we need to be able to run the ball, dude. That was weird. I mean, that was honestly just confusing. Like, it wasn't a terrible at the end of the day, but before we stepped up and started making some runs towards the end of the game, it was looking really bad. All right, but anyway, so I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my Saturday, guys. It was a fun morning. Make sure you guys, whether you're watching before or after the video, please do like the video. Comment if you guys have any questions that I didn't touch on during the live stream. And we are going to be doing that giveaway next week. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe so you can be a part of that. I'd love to have you here. I'm out of here, guys. Have a great weekend and go Utes.